Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on harvesting. Just a second, I will quickly share my screen so that we can begin. Okay, so hope you are able to see my screen and let's begin. So welcome everyone. My name is Mayur Mistry and I would be your host for today's webinar about harvesting, how it is related to licensing. Uh, we would have this session for around 15 to 20 minutes and then the forum would be open for Q&A. I would like to have an interactive session so that any point of time, if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the Q&A section or on the chat section. So uh, I will first go through the agenda, like what is the agenda for today's webinar. So the agenda for today's webinar is first I would describe or explain what is harvesting in terms of licensing, and then how this harvesting is implemented through the OpenLM. Just a basic overview. Then what are the different types of harvesting, different methods of harvesting we can use in order to harvest the licenses. And then I would be giving you a short demonstration on how this license harvesting is set up in the OpenLM interface and how it works. I would try to demonstrate or you showcase one of the method on the live console of OpenLM to showcase the how it exactly works. So, first things first, I would just give you a basic overview of what is harvesting. So, license harvesting is a proactive way to reclaim licenses of expensive applications sitting idle on the engineer's workstation. The basic license harvesting method OpenLM implemented involves two actions. First is that identifying the idle open application sessions, and then the second action is safely releasing the licenses in order to improve the license utilization. Now, there could be some attendees who are hearing this idling or idle session for the first time. So what is exactly an idle session is that an open application session consumes a license. Okay. However, it is always not in use. So consider an example where user may have opened an application A, which it is not using it anymore. The user is not using it anymore while it is still in open state, and he starts working on another application B, leaving the application A in an idle state. That means he is no more accessing or no more working on the application A, but still it's in open state and it's utilizing a license. So what OpenLM here can do is OpenLM can identify such instances of idle sessions from the end users and then help in assessing the license usage efficiency. So this is how you can increase the performance, or you can also do a better management of licensing throughout the users or the user who want to use this licenses. So this information will serve to make informed decisions on license maintenance and procurement, optimize license allocation within the organization, and improve license consumption habits. That is, you can minimize the hogging, which is also called as idling. Now, the moving ahead, the second pointer, that how this harvesting or the harvesting method works or how it is implemented. So the this particular harvesting involves the OpenLM setup, which is consisting of the OpenLM server, and there is this two small programs which we need to install on the central server, which is the server where you have hosted the OpenLM server, which is the end user services. And there is a second program, a small program named as Workstation Agent, which needs to be installed on the end user workstation in order to identify the idle session. So this is the basic implementation of how this harvesting can be implemented by installing this three small programs on the central server and the end user workstation. Now, the end user workstations are the workstations where this user would be using this application, for which we are going to do the harvesting or the licensing or to optimize the use of different licenses. So now in the next slide, we would be over here, it's mentioned that what are the different methods of harvesting the license. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a small diagram where you can see that how it actually works. And it the OpenLM workstation agent installed on the end user workstation. The middle component is the OpenLM server, which is the main component, and there is one end user services which is also installed in the same on the same centralized server. Now moving ahead, there are different types of methods which you can see right now. One is the save and close. Second one is the suspend and resume, agent procedure, and the remotely close method. Now, all these methods are depending on what application you are using. It depends on how which method can be implemented for particular application. So starting with the first one is the save and close method. Now the save and close method works for the applications, like there are specific application like ArcGIS, ArcGIS Pro, AutoCAD, all the features that uses the ACAD EXE, SolidWorks, MATLAB, Katia, Petra, Harmony, and Kingdom. These are the applications on which we can implement the save and close. The second method is the suspend and resume method. This also is used for the network based licenses. Now in this it is included, or this particular method is dedicated for the FlexLM application. So if you are having any any application which is hosted on a FlexLM based licensing, you can use this suspend and resume method. This detects the application and freezes the application to release the license back to the license pool until the license is reclaimed. So what it does is the application would be freeze, like the application would be suspended, and the license which is getting used on that particular system would be given back, or it would be released back to the license pool until it is reclaimed. And how we reclaim that license, I will show you in the live demonstration. Then the third option or the third method is the agent procedure. These agent procedures are general purpose license retrieval. It's not specific to any particular licensing like FlexLM or the above mentioned application which I earlier mentioned. But this can be used for closing a standalone or a node lock idle applications as well. So this harvesting methods which we are talking about, it's not restricted only for the network or the floating licenses, but this can be also implemented for the standalone or the node lock licenses which does not actually have any licensing in background, but it works on the system specifically assigned to that system. So this can be also implemented for these type of licenses. The last option, which is the remotely close option, this is a manual method when the license administrator can remove a license of an idle application manually from the admin interface. So now these are the four methods. And as I mentioned earlier in the previous slide, I would be going to the live system and I will be showcasing in how these things are implemented, what are the things we are considering in order to implement this functionality, how exactly it works, what are the parameters we need to set in order to achieve this whole methods to get the harvesting implemented. So I will quickly stop sharing my screen and I will share another screen, which would be the live console. Okay. So as you can see right now, this is the OpenLM Easy Admin interface I am logged into. Right now we are accessing this for the system which we have already. So this is the OpenLM server, Easy Admin interface. And as you can see right now, I am going to illustrate or demonstrate the working of the harvesting on the application name as ArcMap. So as you can right now see correctly, this is the status screen where you can see that the licensing is getting monitored. We have total 3 number of licenses for the ArcGIS, and right now there is no use of the particular application. Now, going step by step, I would first show that how this whole thing is set up, or what are the steps we need to set this harvesting method. So in the OpenLM Easy Admin interface, you would be able to see that there are multiple administrative parameters which we have. While setting up an parameter for the harvesting of the floating or the network licenses, we use process features. And if you are going for a standalone or a node lock license, then you use a unmanaged process. Both these are just bifurcation on the basis of the licensing, but the parameters which are going to be set for the harvesting remains the same. So as we are going for a network demonstration, network license demonstration, harvesting demonstration, I would be going for the process features. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that the ArcGIS is included in the save and close, like it, we can implement the save and close method. So you can see there are predefined or pre-populated applications which are already supported for the save and close, and also you can add any vendors other than what are not mentioned over here. So it's not a pre-filled thing, but you can also add manually other applications. Okay, so now as you can see that we are going to use demonstrate the ArcGIS. So I will open this line over here. You can see that these are the parameters which you can set for the particular process. Now, what exactly the workstation agent does is, workstation agent will monitor the process name which we are identifying over here, or which we are mentioning over here. So in this case, the process name for the ArcMap is ArcMap, and then you can need to give some description, which is a free fill, and the vendor name. Now, it's not just about harvesting the licenses, but also you can monitor the idle time. This is an extra features, or this is the feature where you are dependent of first monitoring the idle period, that for how much time you would like to user to idle, and then you would like to consider it as an idle session and take actions accordingly, or release the license accordingly. So we will go one by one with the parameters. First parameter is the track process idle active periods. In case if you don't want to harvest the license, then you can also just monitor the idling of that particular user. You can see the parameter states that idle time report threshold. That means if any user who is using that particular application does not operate or does not use that application above this minute, after that particular time, it should start considering that session as idle. For demonstration purposes, I have mentioned it as 1 minute, but you can mention as per your requirement, like 30 minutes, 1 hour, that is 60 minutes. So it's not a fixed field, but you can change it as per your requirement. Now, the second one is over here, which is the idle time license. Start releasing licenses after usage rate of percent. So this parameter is like, for example, if you have 100 licenses, you need to specify that after how much licenses are already in use, you need to implement this license release matter. So for example, you have 100 licenses and you want that after 80% of the licenses are used, you would like to implement this license release method. So you can mention it over here 80%. So until and unless 80% of licenses are not in use, this method or this particular parameters would not be triggered. Okay. Now the second one is that after how much time it's idling, the user is idling, you would like to release the license on the method which you have specified. So the minimum time you can give over here is 3 minutes. That's why I provided 3 minutes. But you can also input the time whatever you would like to implement while the harvesting. Now, the important thing over here is the license release method. So over here, you select the method of how would like to release the license. Extension is the first method, that is save and close. Suspension is the second method, which I mentioned is implemented for the FlexLM based licenses, where you can suspend the session and reclaim the licenses. The third method is the procedure, which we called as the agent procedure, which is the third method. Now, in the agent procedure, as I mentioned, we can implement the agent kill process, which will help us to kill that particular process on the end user workstation. Also, we have one more kind of alerting way. You can pop up a message in the on the end user screen in order to inform that you are idling from such time. So for this time, can you please release the license? So we call this as agent command, okay, which you can pop up on the end user workstation. So that is also one method to just alert the end user that you are idling and you need to release or either close the application in order to free the license. So right now, as I mentioned, we would be checking the save and close method. Now, I mentioned earlier that I would be explaining how this thing to work. So this thing works on these three parameters. So the agent which is installed the workstation, agent installed on the end user workstation, monitors these three parameters for that particular process. In our case, it will monitor these three parameter, that is processor time, percentage processor time, input output data operation per second, and percentage usage user usage parameter for the ArcMap process in order to identify if the user is idling or not. Now, the last setting over here, the parameter is the OpenLM extension reports to OpenLM agent in 60. So that means that is the heartbeat of the agent, after how much minutes it will report back to the OpenLM server. Now I will save this thing and let's go to the demo system where I would start using and session which would be later on harvested using the OpenLM workstation agent. So as I also mentioned that there is an end user services installed on the central server where OpenLM server is installed, that is installed in order to access this personal dashboard. When the workstation agent is installed, you are also getting access to this personal dashboard. And over here, I would show you that what is the use of this personal dashboard and how it is utilized in this whole process. It can be accessed using a URL, which will also consider the user logged in into that particular end user workstation. So now we will launch the application over here, the ArcMap. Let it load. Once we load this application, it will start utilizing a license, which will be reflected on the OpenLM server. I would show you shortly. So it's loading. Once this is loaded, we will also, just a moment, I would create a new project just to show that how it works. I will also insert some text. Let's consider inputting text as the current time, what is right now in there. So give me a moment. So right now it's 3:51. So let's mention this. And now we will minimize this, setting this session as idle. Now, as you saw that we have minimized the session and now it's idling. Let's go back to the OpenLM Easy Admin interface where you would be able to see the usage. I will simply refresh the screen. Just a moment. Okay. As you can see, we are now seeing the usage of that particular session which we loaded. And now you would be able to see the username. Like I have launched that application on my username, so it's my username, then the other information, what is the product, what is the client version, then what is the start time of the session, and in the end you would be able to see that how much time it's idling or what is the status. As you can see, as we launch the application is now idling from last 9 seconds, and the last method which I mentioned as remotely closing the application, which is the manual closure by the license admin, can be done from here. As you can see, there is an option of remove license, which is right now graded out because the idle time has not reached the threshold which we specified on the parameters. Once this idle time would be reached, like the parameters would be reached, it will be enabled. And we also have another option. If you don't want to wait until the whole time is elapsed, like the idle time, that is 1 plus 3 minutes, that is 4 minutes, you can also close this application from here. Even if you close this application from here, it will save the work which you have not saved, and it will save it as a file on the end user workstation. For now, I am not choosing to close this via this close app function, but let's wait until this is populated. Now you see that the idle times is getting activated. This symbol is there when it will get enabled or it will get populated once the idle time starts. You can click on this and see that what are the idle times. It will show you a graph, also a tabular format, that from what time to what time this user was idling the session. If you keep watching this, the time will increase as and when the idling is more, and once it reaches the idle threshold which we have mentioned, the application will be closed and the work or the project which we have launched would be saved. So let's wait for it to update. Also, the agent procedures which I mentioned in the beginning, that you can set up different agent procedures. So this is where you can set up different agent procedures. You can see that we have added this kill process where it will kill the agent, kill the process automatically once the idling threshold is reached as per the given parameters. Now the difference between the kill process or the agent kill and this event close is that in the case of agent procedures, the work which is being done by the user won't be saved, and it would be just killing the process which is running on that end user services. So when you are implementing the agent procedures, the work or the user using the application won't be saved, but it would uh, just kill the process from the background using the OpenLM workstation agent. So as you can see, that now you have the option enabled for the remove license. So if you click this remove license, it will forward this command to the workstation agent, and then the license would be removed. That is, the user won't be able to use the application further because he would lose the license, and the license would be taken back to the license pool or resubmitted to the license pool. As you can see now, you see that the session is ended and it's the usage is now 0. That means the session was save and close. I will go to the machine where we opened up the arc map. As you can see that the particular session is gone. And if you will see in the personal dashboard, now I will just refresh the screen. You can see that the ArcMap session was save and close. This is the file path where this file was saved. And here there is a resume button. Now, what the resume button does, I will show you in some time. Before that, I would like you to show the project which was saved over here. As you can see, this is the project which was just saved, the first one with the timestamp. And now when you go to the uh, personal dashboard, there is this thing that the project is already saved. But if the user comes back and he would like to work on that save project, either he can go and open up this from here, from the saved folder, the project, or else he can simply click on resume, which will resume his session, which was save and closed by the workstation agent. So just give it some time. Once you click on resume, it will start opening the ArcMap, that is the project which was saved, save and close. So it could take a bit longer time. And as you can see in the beginning, we had mentioned the time. You can see that same project is opened up using the harvesting method, save and close method, and you can see the timestamp is still 351. So the same project was resumed, and then the user can start working as per his requirement. So this is how the whole, just a moment. And again, on this particular OpenLM server screen, you would be able to see that one license would be in utilization because we resumed the session over there. So these are the different methods of how you can implement the different methods and how it is being used to get it done via the workstation agent. And you can utilize these methods in order to get the licensing use in full capacity. You can also uh, give more licenses to the people who need it really, and the people who are not actually using the licenses but doing idling due to some another work. So this is how the whole thing works. So feel free to type in any question or anything you would like to ask. The forum is now open for the question and answers. Okay. Okay. So I think we don't have any open question. Okay, no problem. So uh, these are the upcoming webinars which would be conducted in the this month. So you can simply go to our website and openlm.com and register for the same. And you can also find the link to the webinar page in the chat box. Also, in addition to this, we have started with our newsletter. We are sending out this newsletter every month. Hopefully, you have registered for it. And if you have not yet registered, then you can simply scan this QR code, which is currently visible on your screen. Also, if not, then you can also subscribe to the newsletter by dropping us a mail on the email ID info@openlm.com. Uh, So thanks a lot for joining this session. I hope that it was an informative session for regarding the harvesting of the licensing, and have a nice day ahead. Thank you.